And I ask them, what attempt have you, and these are white people, have you made to integrate with those who come into your society?
Is bad
Why?
for all of us.
Hang on. This has been going on since before the Windrush landed. Let's get a sense of perspective on this. Immigration, it's always been the same story, and we're back to those times. If the growth agenda is to be fulfilled, they know that immigrants will be needed, okay, but not wanted. And this is exactly what happened after the war. They wanted to rebuild the country, but they didn't. They needed them, but didn't want them. So I think it is a very important question to ask about public services and so on, but also to say, if we ask the people, for example, give them these three questions: stop all immigration, and I'm happy to let my sick and elderly die, allow immigration to keep the National Health Service and social care going, stop all immigration, I don't care what happens. Give them those options and see what the results are.
Yeah, I mean, Emma, they're needed, not wanted. I mean, politicians throughout history have gone for these populist things, and immigration is quite, to say the way to curb it, is quite populist.
Well,
to say.
I think this economic addiction to mass migration is unsustainable. Where people talk about, needing to have, like Fraser Nelson, for example, recently wrote an article where he was saying that this is a good thing because of pensions, and we need to bring more people in because we have this kind of pyramid structure in our society. We need more and more people because our native birth rates are so low. That is an unsustainable model. And I think fundamentally, talking about the country as if it's some kind of economic project, this is our home. People aren't just fungible units that can be replaced. Even the concept of net zero migration, where, if a certain number of people leave and a certain number of people come in that are equal, then that makes a fundamental difference. And I think the problem is that we've had such a speed, such a pace of extreme demographic change over a short period of time that we do not have the means of handling it. There are all sorts of complexities and the problems that are associated with it. And fundamentally, people never consented to this. They didn't consent to the culture of their country being so radically changed over a short period of time.
Question, is it my home as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is not just, this is also about everybody who currently lives here.
So Jonathan, the rhetoric around immigration.
So I think,
is politics and media, it's sort of negative, isn't it?
Yes, and as you demonstrated by this bizarre question, is immigration bad for Britain? I don't think that the vast majority of Britons would say immigration is bad for Britain.
True.
Some of them might think immigration is too high. But look, on this sofa, my parents came here as students, as immigrants. Yasmin and her family came here as refugees.
Yeah.
Stephen, I know, has at least partly a migrant background. If you're going to say, yes, all that's bad for Britain, we haven't contributed, us and everybody else, and the people who've come just in the last few years, who are, as both I think Yasmin and Emma have said, people who come to work in the NHS, in social care, to study at universities, is that bad for Britain? Of course it's not. Now, on the numbers question, I think we need to step back a bit here. Yes, the numbers over the last couple of years have been very high, but that was temporary. We knew it was temporary, and it is already coming down. We already know this. The ONS, and the ONS will tell you this, the ONS already know these projections are out of date because we've already seen visa numbers fall very sharply. So let's not get too hung up on the numbers. The question is not immigration is bad for Britain. This question is what system of managed immigration is good for Britain and good for immigrants.
OK, so, Stephen, it's managed. And also, as Jonathan was saying there, immigration has shaped Britain. It's shaped, I mean, I include myself in that list. I don't know about you, Emma, but that's the majority of us on this sofa have been shaped by immigration.
Immigration is shaping Britain very rapidly and very
But in a positive way.
Very dramatically, not always positive. There are some very good positive elements. In fact, the fact that we're sitting on this sofa debating this shows that element of positivity. But what you have to consider, the United Nations recognises very clearly in numerous research that where you get large-scale immigration into a country, it can have negative impacts in public services, poverty. We're now seeing research that shows large-scale migration and density is creating mental health. And when you look at the numbers here, and I'm going to disagree with Jonathan and the ONS, I ran it through their figures yesterday. They've got amazingly reductions in the amount of net migration down to 340,000. If they did that over the next 20 years, that's a bigger fall than actually occurred during the Black Death. So what we've got here in this country is a recognition, in our view, that we're heading towards 80 million people by 2040, which is 33% more people in this country in 40 years. That is unsustainable, and that has a demand on public services as population.
But what about services that need those immigrants? So you think of so many sectors, the hospitality sector,
True.
the care sector, what is it, 152,000 vacant positions a day in
And we put 250,000 in
the
last year.
NHS. I mean, you go to the NHS, you are treated by immigrants. So
in certain sectors of places like London, there are mass numbers, but you go to the northeast, you'll still get 87% of people who are indigenous into this country.
It works where there is immigration.
It does require certain elements of immigration, but as we put more immigrants in, it's like a Ponzi scheme. We need more houses, more schools, more hospitals.
I agree with Stephen. We need more houses, more facilities. But this idea that this is a new issue, this is a new panic, this moral panic, as I said, has gone on. Enoch Powell, talking in almost the same terms you're talking about, that having these black people who were Christians, for God's sake, for Christians who were absolutely required to rebuild the country. So I'm tired of... Can I just finish? I did not interrupt you. So try not to interrupt me.
Okay,
Thank you.
let's hear you.
Okay? And, you know, imagine being us. Imagine being all of us, constantly described in terms of a pain, a strain on society, when I have never taken a penny of benefits in all my life. And all the time you have this horrible description of you as a problem.
That is not entirely true. The debate is entirely different now. It's about large-scale numbers than it is. And if you see it that way, as a mixed-race individual, I see that as race baiting. I do not see this debate anywhere the same as it was in the 1950s.
It was the same with the EU people.
It's totally different.
The Brexit, no.
The Brexit argument isn't about anti-Europeans. It's about the numbers in this country and the impact on our services.
I'm sorry.
It's not about colour.
When the Brexit debates over the 5 years, it wasn't about race. It was about those Europeans. They transfer the hatred.
It's not about colour.
So, Emma, as Yasmin said, this is history repeating itself. We've had this before. Surely it's the same sort of thing that we've had before with Enoch Powell, with other waves of migration.
No, I think it's a straw man. I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who says that we don't need any migration, or that we shouldn't have any migration at all. But the point is that we have 9 million people in this country who are out of work, who are of working age. The idea that we can't fill those vacancies with people who are already here, again, it's just aggravating the problem. It's not solving it. It's a sticking plaster. It's using migration as a sticking plaster for all sorts of complex problems that we have in our society, including economically. And this is anecdotal, but I was speaking to a taxi driver the other day who was himself a migrant, who said that his family came here because they wanted to come to Britain, but they no longer feel that cities like London feel like Britain anymore. 1 in 12 people in London...
What do you mean feel like Britain?
Well, 1 in 12 people in London are illegal immigrants. That's a problem.
Can I just pick up, because I think this is a good example of how this debate gets distorted. Emma has taken that figure from a story in The Telegraph last week. Now, that story was a lie. The Telegraph has corrected it, the Times, which repeated, has corrected it, the Sun has corrected it, and the Mail's corrected it. Can I tell you why it's a lie? It's a lie because it had the wrong numbers for London. Wait, let me get on. Wrong numbers for London population. It included people with leave to remain, people who are here legally, perfectly legally, and it included the children of regular migrants, people who were born in this country and never lived here. So I'm going to invite you now. You can go and check those. Do you commit that you will say publicly that what you said you were repeating a lie, that the Telegraph deliberately stoking xenophobia?
Those papers aren't here to defend
well,
themselves in any way.
I can tell you this. It's the correction was printed in the Telegraph yesterday.
Okay.
The Telegraph lied, and I'm inviting Emma to go and check her figures and then to tweet tomorrow. We know she's on X a lot. To tweet tomorrow apologising, correcting that lie.
Well, I can look that up, but unfortunately for you, my point is not dependent on those statistics.
You stated a xenophobic lie that was well publicised and has been debunked.
If I can, that's defamatory. If I can very quickly just come back on that. My point is that you would be hard-pushed to find somebody who says that we should have zero migration, that no diversity that we should have no diversity whatsoever. What people are saying is that the speed and pace of migration is bad for this country. It's eroding our cultural cohesion. It is fundamentally something that people have not agreed to. And poll after poll after poll have said that people do not want it, and that matters.
Do you acknowledge that one of those points that Emma made about the fact that it puts the social cohesion, that people coming here
Listen,
in large numbers, so she's talking about large numbers.
So you go to the Red Wall. I go to the Red Wall a lot and argue with people in pubs. I do this as a duty, as a journalist, right? And I ask them, what attempt have you, and these are white people, have you made to integrate with those who come into your society? Why is the pressure always on us, the problem people? Why don't we say to more white people, integrate better, especially in those areas?
They haven't chosen to move to another country.
Hang on. I don't interrupt you. So don't interrupt me. Okay? Why don't we say integration is a dance?
So
you need two people.
You need two people on both sides.
And only one side gets lectured.
That is a fair point, isn't it, Stephen?
No, it's not. It's actually, these people have chosen to come to a different country. And if I chose to go to Spain, I'd want to integrate into Spain. I'd want to learn the language.
But that Brits don't do that.
And just give me the same courtesy that you requested of Robert Jenrick.
Time while you're just talking
so
about
I'm just turning around and saying that when I went to Portugal, I wanted to integrate with Portugal. I started to learn the language when I was there. I went out with people to show me about their culture, the food, the fadas, the dancing. And that's exactly, it was my choice to go there, my choice to integrate in that culture. It is a responsibility on the individual that goes to a place. You cannot take that responsibility and place it on a different country and say, you change for them. That's unacceptable.
Okay.
I
just want to give Jonathan...
just a slightly different... I mean, integration actually works really well in this country. Look, I've lived all my life in not about a mile and a half north of here, in an area which, when I and my parents moved here when I was 5, was mostly white and much more working class than it is now. Since then, it has changed demographically and in all sorts of other ways, economically, socially. It still is linked, and it's still the same place that I came to. It's still British. Just because a lot of people are from abroad doesn't mean it's still British. And actually, people get on pretty well. And that's how life works in most of Britain now.